Hi there, you're listening to Season 1, Episode 12 of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. Y'all, on this episode, I visit with Abigail Benz, a young woman on a heartfelt mission, sharing her platform, Cowgirl Courage, with the hopes of making a difference in the lives of others. Abigail and I met this year through mutual friends in the rodeo industry. A common bond we share is our tie to Athens, Alabama, and the Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo. You see, Abigail is the reigning Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo and will be competing at the Miss Rodeo USA pageant in January 2021. This is the same title I held when I competed a decade ago for Miss Rodeo USA. This episode is dedicated to my dear friend and mentor, Debbie Blakely, who recently gained her angel wings. Debbie was extremely passionate about helping young women, and she was in every way a life coach. She had coached basketball for over 20 years, as well as invested in many young women in pursuit of their rodeo queen dreams. During her celebration of life this past weekend, each speaker shared stories of how she impacted their lives and taught them about intestinal fortitude. By definition, intestinal fortitude is having the courage and the endurance to go on. A marathon runner is an example of someone with intestinal fortitude. Debbie Blakely blessed my life in a multitude of ways. She gave me the gifts of tough love and straight talk, while also being a soft place to land and an encouraging friend when I needed it most. Debbie lived her life by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. As you listen to Abigail's story, my hope is that you will reflect on two things: intestinal fortitude and helping others. I encourage you to take the time to think about what this might look like as you walk it out in your own life. 2020 has required each and every one of us to embrace intestinal fortitude and go on, even if we haven't recognized it as that. Thank you for being part of the Cowgirl Confessions community, and I pray you and your family have a very Merry Christmas. Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small-town cowgirl with southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best: cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress, but she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and western life may get along the way. Welcome to another edition of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I am thrilled to have my friend Abigail Benz today on the show. You guys, Abigail has such a unique story of her journey to being and becoming a cowgirl, and I can't wait for her to share that with you. Abigail, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. I'm so excited. I'm smiling so big. I wish everybody could see me.
Well, I can hear it. You know, sometimes you can hear a smile, and I can definitely hear that on you today. So, you're in Georgia, correct?
Yes, I'm in Andersonville, so South Georgia. It's a good 55, so not too cold. And yeah, we're just having a good time here on the farm and hanging out.
That's awesome. You can't beat 55 degrees in December. So
No.
definitely cannot. It's a little bit colder today in Kansas, but well, Abigail, let's just kick this off with you sharing
just a little bit more about yourself, your background with horses, and just how you got to where you are today. And yeah, just let's dive in.
Yeah, so I started riding horses when I was really young. We did American saddlebred riding, and it's actually kind of funny because my sister is the one who wanted to start riding horses. And in the first lesson, she was terrified. And so she did not really want to continue, but I did. So I kind of became the equestrian of the family. So I just loved doing anything with horses. Anytime I could get near them, I went on every carousel, every pony ride. We didn't buy our first horse until I was probably 9 or 10. We moved to Colorado and we went to a dude ranch and I went to the stock show. Just kind of fell in love with rodeo and immediately knew like this is where I belong. This is kind of what I want to do. And we moved back to Georgia and we move a lot. So it's kind of like a trailer of us moving across the country. I've stayed at a lot of horse motels. So if anybody needs horse motels, there's a lot of them. And I kind of just continued. I wanted to start my own drill team out here because in Colorado I was a Westernaire. So I wanted to start my own Easternaires or something. And unfortunately, I had a really bad accident. I ruptured my spleen in a horseback riding accident, and that just kind of started this not wanting to feel like I wasn't the best anymore, and just kind of not wanting to give up on myself, but almost like I didn't feel like I had a choice. Like I just couldn't get back into the swing of things. And the funny thing about horses and the funny thing about rodeo is like no matter how many times you want to stop, they just never give up on you. So um, I went out to Colorado State my freshman year of college and I was on their rodeo team. I ended up getting a concussion. I transferred to Auburn and I actually sold all of my stuff, all my horses, all my tack and everything. And then secretly, my dad bought it all back from from the consignment shop. And so um, this year of 2020 has been hard on a lot of people. And I just kind of felt like I was being called back to the horses. And so I kind of jumped in with both feet, as they say, and mounted up. And just here I am, Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo.
Wow, yes, you and I have been able to talk more in detail about what you just kind of gave us an overview of, and what a unique journey, as far as how you got started with the saddlebreds, and then actually got to be a member of the Westoneers when you moved to Colorado. And then, you competed in the barrel racing, was the event you competed in whenever you were at Colorado State. So let's back up a little bit for those listening that aren't familiar with what the Westoneers are. If you can tell us more about that, and then also you mentioned that y'all move a lot, and just kind of what that is due to as well.
Yes. So my dad is a colonel in the Army. He has been in the service for over 20 years. So we just kind of have moved around a lot with that and with his job changing. And I think a lot of people can relate to moving around. I kind of think it's funny because I just have always wanted like my own home where like everybody can come and I had my own bedroom and I have that now. We just bought my parents' retirement home, so that's exciting. But we did move around a lot growing up, and I think being in the Westernaires, which is just this huge, amazing drill team organization, and I think the values that they have for their youth kind of instilled just this determination and hard work in me that honestly I'm forever grateful for, even though I was only there for 1 year. But they are, I think, one of the biggest drill teams, and they're definitely the most well known, especially in the stock shows. And I think they've ridden at Calgary and Cheyenne. They've done a lot of huge shows. So getting to be a member of that team was just really exciting for me. And something that they taught me that I've forever taken with me is that from the time you catch that horse you must do it all by yourself. And I was not a big fourth grader, I was very small. And I was out there hoisting myself up with my knee and throwing the saddle from a fence and just trying whatever I could to do everything by myself. And I still am that way, like I never want help. I just want it's my horse, and from the time I catch it to groom it to saddle it to ride it to putting it away, I want to be able to be there. And I think that builds the connection, and they definitely taught me that.
Really, really neat hearing about that experience and what all you learned from it. And, just I just want to first say, thank you to your dad and to your family for, his commitment to our country and your commitment, your family's commitment, because obviously that freedom's not free, and you have to, it affects all of your lives. And so just thank you for that. And hearing your outlook on it and how it's just made you really flexible, and also that yearning for just having a space that you could call your own. I'm really excited for you that you have that now, and your parents have bought that retirement home in Georgia. And so you continue to want to travel though, because you have a really neat background. You actually went and got a degree in global studies from Auburn University. Can you
Yeah.
tell us more about that, and maybe what intrigued you to where you wanted to go that direction with school, as well as some of the different experiences you've had over the years with that?
Yes. So I started off wanting to be a veterinarian. And when you get to college, you can't just take only equine science classes. I wish you could, that would be awesome. But you have to take some filler classes and some kind of required classes. So when I was at Colorado State, I took a class called Current World Problems. And I really didn't have a full understanding of the need in the world for just education and just people who were struggling but wanted help. And so we learned a little bit about the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, which kind of changed my whole perspective. And so I transferred to Auburn. They have this program, it's called Global Studies and Human Sciences. And they kind of combine everything that I was passionate about into a degree. And so I was able to learn business, I was able to learn agriculture, I was able to learn, human sciences related classes like hunger studies and human development. And so I think from that degree, I gained the knowledge to kind of move forward and see that the world is just bigger than myself. And I think for a long time, I was so bogged down on not being a world champion barrel racer and not being a vet. And it just kind of was like, what am I good at? And I realized, like there's more people in this world than just me. And there's so many people who need help and who are seeking help and who would just love somebody to listen to them. And so when I switched to this major, I was the girl with painted fingernails and curled hair, and nobody thought I was a world traveler. And I kind of turned into this advocate for women and children, and even men who suffer from human trafficking. And Auburn gave me an education, but they also gave me the world, because I was able to go to Italy and Nepal with Auburn and see firsthand the need that I was making a difference for.
Wow, that is incredible that Auburn has a way to share that opportunity with its students, for one. And um, let's talk a little bit more, Abigail. I'm really interested in what those experiences in Nepal and Italy were like, because when you mentioned human trafficking earlier, I know that's something you're very passionate about. It's a heavy topic. It's not something that's easy to talk about for most, I would say most people. And but you've educated me so much on really a broader scope of things that fall under the human trafficking topic. And I would just really like to hear more about how you witnessed that in Nepal and Italy, and then how you've been able to bring all that back and make it really more digestible for people like me that haven't had those world traveling experiences, but you can help us understand it better.
Yes. So I spent most of my high school in Atlanta, and there was actually several instances where human trafficking was brought to my attention. One being, there were girls in my school who had been taken or who had fallen victim or had been runaways. And um, there were so many movements and so many people that were willing to stand up and say, we need to do something about this. But I never felt like it was something I could do. I'm one person, and I'm a girl and I'm young, and who's going to listen to me? And so when I went to Nepal, I kind of had this drive for seeing it, and I wanted to see it firsthand, and I wanted to be able to say, like, I can make a difference, and I can make an impact on these people. And I went there, and it was not what I was expecting. And I always thought, human trafficking was like the movie Taken, or like they were being stolen and kidnapped. And in a lot of cases, it's just coercion, and people are coerced into thinking that they're going to have a better life. And I think the opportunity is what I never quite understood. And the lack of opportunity is something that just kind of opened my eyes. So I was in Nepal for 12 weeks, and I went to several locations, and I saw firsthand, there were some villages that didn't have a lot of young girls because they had been, sold into trafficking unbeknownst to their parents at times, that they thought, oh, my daughter's going into the city and she's getting a good job and she's going to send money home. And that's not what happened. And you think, like, how can they do this? But they really just want what's best for their kids, and they're just naive to what's happening. And I kind of felt like I related to them because I didn't know either. And I would be like, yeah, let's go to the big city, let's get a job, let's stop living in the mountains. But that's not what it is. And so when I came home, I was kind of overwhelmed. It took me a long time to think, what can I do? But there's so many organizations that are helping, even here stateside. And um, I didn't realize the need and the vast variety of things that could be considered trafficking. And so Nepal definitely opened my eyes, but even people who might be listening who would never get to go to Nepal, there's so much here stateside that's happening, from stranger danger to internet safety. I mean, the internet is the worst place for this to happen. And if we're just tuned in and we know, like, these are the indicators, these are what we should be looking for. And then if we say to ourselves, I will speak up, I will say something, then even from Andersonville, Georgia, we can make a difference. So I think it's just such a big problem. But I think that when you're able to narrow it in to just, I can make a difference, I'm one person, but I can make a change, then it doesn't seem so big and scary anymore.
Absolutely. And Abigail, I'm sure you have started partnering with an organization called
Mhm.
A21. And if you could tell us more about A21 and then how that also is going to tie into your platform. You're getting ready to go compete for Miss Rodeo USA. And for those of you listening who aren't as familiar with Miss Rodeo USA, it's a national pageant. The winner goes on to represent the International Professional Rodeo Association. And as Miss Rodeo USA, you have this great opportunity to educate other people and grow the sport of rodeo by sharing it with people outside of rodeo. So a lot of times, you'll get the opportunity to go speak at Rotary clubs or schools, and having a platform that can connect whatever you're passionate about along with the sport of rodeo is what you typically talk about at those different events. And so, Abigail, again, if you could just tell us more about A21 and then how all of this has led into your passion for your platform for Miss Rodeo USA.
Yes. So 821 is just an incredible organization, and it stands for Abolishing in the 21st Century. And so I think a lot of people don't think of human trafficking as modern day slavery, but that's actually what it is. And um, there's so many different types of human trafficking, and they have the resources. And if you go on their website, I mean, they have guides for parents, for teachers, for businesses, for teenagers, for whoever needs education. And it breaks it down in a way where you can understand that group, your demographic, what to look for. So they really have taken just so much time, and they're so just exact on what they need to be doing. And they're just an incredible organization. And so partnering with them has given me just kind of the tools that I needed to create and develop my platform, Cowgirl Courage, a little bit further. And so I will be competing for Miss Rodeo USA, like you said, in January, and Cowgirl Courage is my platform. And it's kind of just all around cowboys and cowgirls. I think everyone listening can relate. They have courage, and it's just part of who they are. But they can spread that courage just by helping others. So my platform, the motto is speak up, stand up, and saddle up. And I think we can all do every single one of those things. So I'm hoping that just through me talking about it and through everyone listening and everyone that will hear it at the Miss Rodeo USA pageant, that they will say, you know what, I can speak up and I can stand up and I can also saddle up and we can end this thing. And I think a really cool fact that I heard, and I didn't even really think about this until I heard it. And it's if just 1% of the global population took action to abolish modern day slavery, there would be twice as many abolitionists as there are people enslaved around the world. And so I think that that's crazy because 1% is such a small amount. And so um, if we just all say, you know what, I'm going to do something about this, I'm going to speak up and educate myself, and I'm going to empower others to do the same thing and have that courage with me, then we're just going to outnumber them, really.
Oh, I just really love and connect with the name of your platform, Cowgirl Courage, and your tagline, if you will. And it makes me think of that John Wayne quote. Courage is being scared to death and saddling up anyway. And that, this, like I said before, this isn't something that's always easy to talk about, but it's something that needs to be talked about and for us all to be more educated on so that we can be empowered to help make a difference and share that courage. And so I'm just really excited, Abigail, for you to be able to continue sharing this, as Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo, as you go compete for Miss Rodeo USA, and even thereafter. So I'm wondering, what were some of your experiences? You said you got to go to Nepal and Italy, but you've also got a really cool background in sports. And so can you share with us a little bit about that and just some of the things you've learned through that you feel like have better equipped you for this rodeo queen journey you're on?
Yes. So I had the opportunity to intern for both a minor league baseball team and a major league baseball team. So I worked for the Gateway Grizzlies, which is a minor league baseball team in St. Louis. But then most recently, I interned for the Miami Marlins Foundation. And I think that a lot of people don't think, baseball or sports and foundations, but sports teams actually give back a lot of money. And the Miami Marlins are one of a kind, and they're giving back to the community of Miami. And so, unfortunately, COVID, ended my internship early, but I'm so incredibly amazed with the work that they're doing. And I think if you support any baseball team, you should definitely take the time to look into their foundation. And they all do it, hockey, football, soccer, basketball. I can't think of all the sports, baseball, but they all give back and they all do something for their community. And that's so important because they have the platform and they have the voice. And so the fact that they're willing to do something with it is just what makes me so passionate about working for sports teams and working with athletes and rodeo competitors and equestrians, whether you do hunter jumper or dressage or Western pleasure, you have a platform. And so if you're using it for good, you're making a difference. And you don't have to have millions of fans or millions of followers, but if you're using your voice for good, you're making a difference. And so that's so important. And the Marlins, they have this platform and it kind of just speaks to everything that I believe in, and they believe in empowering and helping with wellness of the people in Miami. And so I had the opportunity to help with hunger drives and food distributions and going to schools and reading to kids. And in Miami, everybody speaks Spanish, or a lot of people speak Spanish, and I do not, but they were so welcoming and so loving. And so I'm hopeful that the Marlins will eventually win a World Series, maybe this year, and that I can cheer them on. And that if I win Miss Rodeo USA, I know they'll be cheering me on too.
Absolutely, they will. And that's just so cool. You know, that experience you got to have with them through your internship and really just being able to see your values align together through those experiences that you got to have. Abigail, what's next for you? So you're getting ready to compete for Miss Rodeo USA, and we'll dive more into that in a minute, what that preparation has looked like. But what's the next 5 years, 10 years kind of look like for you?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to spend the next year being Miss Rodeo USA and just kind of working with the IPRA. They've changed my life. They've given me um, the IPRA and the Miss Rodeo USA and Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo. They've given me the opportunity to be somebody that 8-year-old Abby would have been super proud of. So I'm so incredibly grateful for this opportunity. And so the next year, I'm hoping to give back to them as much as they've given to me and as much as they've filled my heart in these past couple months. I'm hoping to give that back in the next year. And then after that, I'm hoping to go to law school. So that's probably the next 5 years. And then in the next 10 to 15 years, I'm hoping to open a rehabilitation center for human trafficking survivors and even survivors of domestic violence and survivors of homelessness, and just kind of giving them that extra support they need. And that's something that horses always have. So it's kind of a multi-step process, but I'd like it to start with a treatment center on a ranch with horses, giving them that touch, giving them that personal connection. And then following that, I'm hoping to create kind of a herd of watchful eyes, a herd of, people who are empowered in the equine industry and the Western way of life, and allow for these survivors to go and apprentice with different people, whether it be farriers or people in marketing or rodeo clowns or barrel racers or farmers, cattle farmers or chicken farmers, just kind of giving them that opportunity to have a skill and to be immersed and accepted into this Western way of life and just kind of jump into it. And then that'll give them, something to do that they can use for the rest of their lives.
Such an incredible mission that you were on, and it just makes me think about, teaching a man to fish, when you can give somebody a skill set. And I can't wait to continue to just follow along and watch you know your journey unfold. I have no doubt you're going to excel at it and bless a lot of people as you're sharing just sharing and helping educate them, and building this rehab center. So let's switch gears again a little bit, and let's talk about your actual like rodeo queen journey, because whenever you and I first met, and you're one of those people, we haven't known each other very long, but I feel like I've known you my whole life. And I was just really intrigued from the moment we met kind of via social media and through friends, and I got bits and pieces of your story. I was like, this girl is she's a breath of fresh air, and I want to get to know her better. And so, um, if you could just walk us through kind of what your rodeo queen journey has looked like, in 2020.
Yes. So, I this is my first time being a rodeo queen. I'm not a lifelong rodeo queen, and I've aspired to be a rodeo queen since I was a little girl, but it never just panned out for me. And so, kind of after I lost my internship at the Marlins due to COVID, I had a lot of free time, and I kept thinking something's missing in my life, and I just don't know what it is. And so, I prayed about it, and I was like, it's horses, it's equine people. There's nothing in the world that compares. I know people make fun of it, but horse girls are one of a kind, and they always have your back. So I just kind of decided, let me just try to make some friends, and let me see if I can make a difference. It kind of happened kind of organically. I went to the Miss Rodeo USA clinic, and I had intentions of competing in a pageant later on, just kind of trying to make friends. And if you've ever been to Athens, Alabama, those people, they love you, and they love you hard. And so I met them. I met Mags Settle, and I fell in love with her, and fell in love with the sheriff and just their community. And so um, I left the clinic on Sunday. I applied to compete for Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo on Monday. I wrote my speech on Wednesday. I competed Friday and Saturday, and then I was crowned Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo Queen. And it has been a whirlwind, but it's honestly been the best time of my life. And I know that God had a plan for me, and He gave me this rodeo family that I just needed and I was looking for. So it's been amazing, and I'm so excited to just go and compete and hopefully make them all proud.
It gives me goosebumps, just what you said, like literally in a week's time, you went to a clinic to learn more about what it was going to take to be a rodeo queen, and then you competed in a pageant a week later, and then you won that. And obviously, I'm sure there are things every time you compete, you refine a set of skills and learn more. At least I did. My backstory on rodeo queen was very different from yours. I had been doing it since I was probably 6 years old, and it so to hear your story, I'm just like, wow, like, and now you're getting ready to go compete on a national level, which will be your second pageant. And I think it's so important that women hear this story, because um, in order to be a great rodeo queen, it doesn't mean that you don't have to grow up in that industry and doing it. You can be incredibly equipped with the knowledge and all the qualities that can make you an incredible representative for the sport of rodeo, um, and not have done that in the rodeo queen capacity. I just think it's important that people understand you can come from lots of different backgrounds but still be a great representative for the sport of rodeo. And so let's talk about what your preparation has looked like, Abigail, since you were crowned Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo. And that was when was that?
In August,
In August.
the very end of August.
Wow. Yeah. So typically that pageant's in May, but I know they had to postpone that due to COVID. And so you were crowned in August. Here we are, like third week of December. You're going to compete at a national pageant in January of 2021. What what has it looked like for you since August as you get ready?
Um, so there's a lot of studying, a lot of speech prep, a lot of clothing prep. But for me, something that I've been preparing for the most is kind of talking about my platform and talking about rodeo to the people that I know and the people that I love, um, who aren't from this community. And so bringing them with me, it's kind of like me, I'm like the head mayor of a herd, and everyone is following me. And I'm like, come on, everyone, we're going to be rodeo people now. So I have friends buying boots, buying hats, coming out to Oklahoma with me, and just kind of spreading what it is that rodeo has given to me. And I do have a background in rodeo and I have a background in horses, but I've also been an outsider, and I know what it's like to sit in those stands and feel like you don't belong. But as soon as the lights go off and you hear that national anthem, you just kind of feel like you do. And so something that has been the most important thing to me from the beginning of being Miss Limestone is bringing everyone in with me and expanding the sport of rodeo, but also expanding everyone already in rodeo's knowledge of human trafficking. And so um, the preparation for this national pageant is really just a lot of studying, but also a lot of focusing on myself. And the only person that I need to beat is the version of me from yesterday. So I'm going to be the best version of me, and I'm going to be the most proud of myself because I did it. And I definitely, it was a whirlwind, but I made a difference. And if one person from your podcast and if one person from the Miss Rodeo USA pageant walks away and goes and researches human trafficking, then I did what I came to do. And at the end of the day, I hope that I make everybody proud, but I've made myself proud. So it's been a lot of fun, and the second it stops being fun, I think is when people start to not want to do it anymore. And so I'm having the best time, and I'm so excited to bring all my people and all my clothes out to Oklahoma and get ready to show everyone what the IFR is all about.
I loved it earlier when you said, the opportunity you've had as a rodeo queen and with the IPRA already, that it would make 8-year-old Abby so proud. And I just don't think there's a better way of putting it. Whether you're getting ready to go compete on a national level as a rodeo queen, or you're stepping into a new job, or whatever space in life you're in right now, if you could look back at your 8-year-old self and they would be wowed or proud of you, or like, at a girl, that's a big deal. And so it just really warms my heart to hear more of what your journey's all about, and that it's not just about going and winning a title, that it's about a full circle experience and giving back. So thank you so much for that, Abigail. And um, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get to watch this year via social media. I'll be low key stalking all the pageant updates, and just really excited to watch all the young women compete out there. um, what has been one thing that, as a rodeo queen, that you've been like, oh, like, I guess something you've learned that you're like, I had no idea about that?
So I think this is definitely my like shock factor when I go to schools and when I talk to people at the rodeo. Um, a lot of times rodeo queens don't ride their own horses. We don't in competition, and we don't, at the rodeos, they're stock contractor horses. And so, which is great for me because I currently don't own my own horse. I sold my horses a couple years ago when I had thought that I was done riding for good. But um, it's kind of been, everybody has horses at rodeos, and you never know what you're gonna get. And so that's kind of the fun thing for me because I get to ride some really cool horses. And I also get the opportunity to meet these stock contractors and these rodeo competitors who have horses that they just love and they're so proud of. And sometimes they don't want to carry the American flag, but um, that's what makes it fun. So it's it's kind of my rodeo queen fun fact. Like, you know, we're in there and sometimes the national anthem is very long and you're sitting in there and your horse is spinning and you're like, oh my goodness, hurry up, uh, wrap it up. And then you get off and you're walking around and you're signing autographs and people will say, well, your horse just didn't really want to behave, did they? And I always love to shock them with, well, that's actually not my horse. So both ways, that they're like, oh, and then it always gives little girls a little bit of hope and even little cowboys that I'm up there and I've got the crown and I've got the buckle, but I don't have my own horse to bring along. And so you can see the little spark and but you can also see the people who are like, oh, that wasn't your horse. So good job not falling off today. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's something that sets you apart in the fact that whenever when you can share your story with that younger generation that maybe aspires to be a rodeo competitor, but they live in town or they don't have the means to own a horse yet, that it's something they can still aspire to do. And there's lots of different avenues within the rodeo industry that you can be a part of it, and you don't have to necessarily own your own horse to do it. So really, really cool that you can share that with them about your own experience. Abigail, what is something that you would say to somebody listening? We are all about just embracing that cowgirl state of mind. That's what this podcast is all about. So, what would you say to somebody listening that, or some tips that help you do that daily?
So something that I tell myself, every time I get on a horse, I say three things. And the first is stay alert, stay alive. And that comes from my dad's military background. So every time I get on, I think, stay alert, stay alive. These are animals, and so they're you're in their control, you're in their territory. So definitely that. Ride with pride, that's the Westerners motto. I still, every time I get on a horse, I think, I'm gonna ride with pride. And I every time I get on a horse, I'm just thankful that I have that opportunity. And then lastly, this came from Brooke Wallace, the current Miss Rodeo USA, and she said, you're never nervous or scared, you're just excited. And so if you look at every opportunity in life with just bundles and bundles of excitement, like you're going to have the best time and your teeth might hurt and your cheeks might hurt. And if it's cold outside, your teeth might get cold because you're smiling so much because you're always going to be having fun. And I think that that's just what being a cowgirl is all about. You're hardworking, you just get into the nitty gritty, but you're having a good time and you look good doing it. So those three things, I say them every time I get on a horse. I used to say them when I would get behind the wheel of a car in Miami and in Atlanta. Um,
Yes, if you've ever driven through Atlanta traffic, stay alert, stay alive. Whew, that
you're
traffic's a
like,
doozy.
"Woo, I'm not nervous, but I'm excited.
That's
Somebody
right.
might hit me." um, so you can apply the cowgirl mentality to everything. And then obviously, I just hope that everybody listening just remembers how much courage they have and how much of a difference just one person can make. So those are my top things. And again, like they're not mine. I didn't write them, but I've made them my own. So
Yes, I just love that. All of them. They're great reminders about how to have that cowgirl state of mind, day in and day out. Okay, I have a few rapid fire questions for you here, Abigail. I can't believe we're almost like at the end of this. The time has flown by. I've so enjoyed getting to visit with you. So, first one is, what is a good book that you've read lately?
Oh, I love that. Okay, I have a few. So, oh, how do I pick just one? So a book that I really, really, really love is called Half the Sky. Um, it is so insightful, so empowering. Yeah, that's the right word. And it's just it'll change your life. There's also a movie version, so I'm all about that. Um, and just another good one is Find Your Why. Um, that book changed my life. So those are two good ones, but I have hundreds of good ones.
I'll definitely have to add those to my list. Okay, so next, somewhere on your bucket list that you were wanting to travel to as soon as all this COVID, the regulations are a thing of the past.
Okay, so again, I have two. I can never pick just one thing. I think that's because I'm like the youngest child. So the first one is the Silver Spur Ranch in Idaho. They do this world famous horse drive, and it just looks amazing. Like there are videos of them just going full speed ahead, herding horses. It just looks like the best week. Also, you could be pretty sore. And the next one is the Mongol Derby in Mongolia, which is the Genghis Khan horse race. So they call it the world's toughest horse race, and I'm always up for a challenge. So those are my top two. I definitely recommend checking them both out.
Really, really cool. Okay, so one of my favorite questions to ask is what is the craziest thing you've ever had to fix, like on the fly, with either baling wire, duct tape, or bungee cords?
Oh my goodness. Probably suitcases. I have definitely bungee corded my suitcases shut when traveling because I'm the queen of little knick-knacky souvenirs. And I can remember coming through TSA back from Nepal, and they said, do you have anything suspicious? And whatever they ask at TSA when you're going through. And I was like, oh no, just a bunch of knickknacks. And when they looked in my bag, they were like, oh goodness, you've got a lot. Like any little person selling something on the road, any booth, I will go in and I will buy something. I went to a Tibetan refugee village in Nepal, and they had like a block long of booths, and I bought one bracelet from every single one of them, and it was like $1 a piece, but I came home with so many bracelets and I didn't know who to give them to. So I've definitely had to sit on my suitcase and bungee it shut and hope that TSA doesn't feel like they need to look in my bags.
Oh, that's so funny. So funny. Well, again, I've just loved our time together. Abigail, can you share with everybody where they can follow you, as well as keep up with you during your Miss Rodeo USA competition?
Yes, so everyone should definitely go follow Miss Rodeo USA on Instagram and Facebook. You should also follow the International Pro Rodeo Association on Instagram and Facebook. They are doing a great job, and I can't wait to see all the competitors. Also, I am Miss Limestone Sheriff's Rodeo on Facebook and Abigail Benz on Instagram. So any of those, just follow along. And there's so many amazing girls coming out to compete for Miss Rodeo USA, as well as so many amazing competitors coming out for the IFR. So if you're anywhere near Oklahoma City, January 12th through 17th, you'll get to see not only the IFR, but all of the Miss Rodeo USA pageant as well.
Awesome. Thanks again, Abigail, and we look forward to following along on your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. Thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all-go and no-woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.